having when I was quite small, actually. Have you got your favourite meat potato pie?
I like cottage pie. You know, it's different. You know, you've got the creamy mash on the top rather than potatoes within the pie itself.
So what would you use for that then, Mike?
Something like Desiree. Again, that makes a really nice creamy mash.
So have you been swatting up on your different types of potatoes?
Over the years, yes, yeah.
So how many types do you reckon you can name, Mike? If I was to drop you on the spot now.
Maris Piper,
Yep.
Maris Peer,
Yep.
Pentland Crown, Pentland Dell, Desiree, Esmer Wilger,
Yep.
Morfona,
Yep.
King Edwards,
So a lot
and
there, Mike.
Russet Burbank.
Getting cocky now,
Yeah,
Mike. You've been
yeah.
practicing, haven't you?
I did have a look.
Next, I roughly chop an onion and throw it in with the raw chuck steak. Then pour in enough water to cover the meat and bring to the boil.
If you find later when you're cooking this off you've got too much liquid, you can leave it to one side and use that as a gravy anyway. I'm just going to put a little bit of seasoning in there.
Cover the pan and simmer gently for about an hour and a half until the sauce thickens and the meat is tender.
All the meat is tender. The smell is fantastic. But again, it hasn't been brown, but look at the colour of the meat. It's just breaking apart at the moment.
Finally, add both types of the potatoes to the meat mixture. Season and cook for a further 35 minutes. The Desiree potatoes will break down to thicken the sauce, whilst the Charlotte potatoes keep their bite.
Look at this. This is the mixture that's been thickened slightly with the potatoes. Good, lumpy, proper northern pie, this one. Okay, you've got your filling. Now I need to choose a lid. Now I've decided to go down a very traditional route. I've got my plain flour here, and I'm using suet.
Suet is usually raw beef or mutton fat, and it's perfect in this recipe because it adds to the flavour and helps give the pastry a better texture.
Now, meat potato pie's probably been around for at least 400 years, 500 years. Henry VIII used to have meat potato pies. Do I look like Henry VIII, Mike?
Yeah,
I think it's the
yeah.
B in the belly. You rub this together, try and break down that suet a little bit, and then the liquid goes in. When the liquid goes in, then you work it slightly. I still want those pieces of suet in there. It will break down, but it really adds to this dish.
So the suet that you're using, is it vegetable or animal suet?
It is animal. You can use vegetable if you want to. It's got more body to it, the animal.
Okay.
But if you want to, you could use butter in there. But I prefer to use it. I'm keeping down a traditional method. It affects the pastry, and when you taste it later, it adds to the texture as well. So the whole idea is, it's quite a robust pastry.
I'm adding just enough cold water to bring the mixture together into a soft and slightly sticky dough.
That's a lot of hard work. Could you do it in a mixer to make it easy?
It's not hard work, right?
Ah,
Shows your bicep. You see, you've been picking potatoes,
Yeah.
haven't you? You pick potatoes, and I do the pastry. You see,
Right.
the thing is, I would actually use a dough hook if you're doing that in a mixer, but to be honest, if you want to get rid of those bingo wings, this is the way to do it. Okay? You're listening, Mum. Mum's going to kill me now, Mike.
yeah.
Work the pastry dough until it comes together and becomes smooth. Add a little extra plain flour if it starts to stick.
And I'm happy with that, okay? That's a good, robust pastry that will form the lid and also the rim around the outside will bond to that. So the next stage for me is to put the meat into the tin. So I get the meat. You can look at the lumps of the meat and the potatoes. And you can see as this is going in, the Desiree potato has done the job as a thickener. It's thickened that gravy beautifully. The shallots are staying quite plump, quite firm. So the whole thing together is going to work as a dish. It's simple but highly effective, which is what a pie is all about. Pop your dish back down there. Just make sure the juices are all the way covered. And with your pastry, I'm just going to take a little bit of this off because this is going to form the rim around the outside. Give a bit of space. Flatten it down with your fingers. And then roll it. Start in the middle, full length of your hand. Nice and gently. I don't want to make this too glutinous. I don't want to make it too much of a bind, this pastry, because when you break into it, you want it literally just to fall through. If you work that dough too much, it's too rubbery. You're going to need a hacksaw and a blade to get through it. Tack it down onto the top of the plate and just simply push it down onto the rim of the dish. So you've got your little binding agent for the lid to sit on.
finish the pie, roll out the rest of the pastry to around 7 to 8 millimeters and lay it over the top of the dish, pressing it down onto the pastry rim.
A little blade, lift it up, just neatly trim around the outside. I love this job. I used to do it with apple pies when I was a kid. 50 apple pies every hour. I used to be quite proud of myself. Just run around the outside. All I'm going to do now is just crimp it. And the way you do that is 2 fingers and a forefinger. Just push down, lift up. Quick as you like. I learnt this from my mum. She used to crimp the side of her pies like this. I think it looks attractive.
Finally, put a hole in the top to allow steam to escape and keep the pastry crisp, and bake for around 35 minutes at 200 degrees Celsius until golden brown.
And you can see straight away what the suet's done. It's given it that depth, it's given it that texture, it's given it that colour. And the whole thing together, that crispy top with the extra bit of pastry on the inside, there's your Dunkin' bit. Beautiful potatoes, thanks very much, Mike. With that meat that's been cooked for an hour and a half, it's really tender, and then it's gone into an oven. That, for me, is the best meat and potato pie you'll ever have.